What's happening, everybody? This is Dave from Steel City Drones Flight Academy. Today, I got a little nice surprise for you. For anybody that's looking to get a Matrice 300, what we're going to do today is do a live demo. It's going to be a virtual demo, but in many ways, I think this type of a video and a demo is going to be better than actually you being live out there, because you're going to see all the footage that's taken directly from our actual flight controller, the output of that. I'm going to point out things on the screen like you're right next to me. So I think it's going to be something that you're going to really like. We get a lot of requests from people asking us to come out to them, and let's say they're on the West Coast, can you give us a flight demo? Or do you know anybody in our area that's using a Matrice 300 that we can contact so we could actually come out and see what they have? And I think I was able to capture this in a way that I think that actually would satisfy a lot of people that are considering getting the Matrice 300. So let's go ahead and get into the demo. So to start off with, this is the HPRC case that we highly recommend for the Matrice 300. This is the only case that allows you to put the M300 in the case with the landing gear on it. And it's really nice because it's not a wide case, which will go through a standard door. And you have, and then I'll do is I'll take the aircraft out, and underneath here, there's room for extra props, extra accessories. So it's really very handy to have. So, and here I have a hood shade for the M300. I have, this is the CSM radar. We have extra props down here. So there's a lot of room down in here for extra accessories. Here, there's room for 2 controllers, M300 controllers. This is where the H20T camera goes. And then any extra accessories that you want to put in here, as far as like a wall adapter, charger, cables, whatever have you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this out and I'm going to show you how I set this up. So here we have the aircraft. This is a little service cradle that goes on the top so that it doesn't damage the upper beacon. So this has 2 beacons on it, one on the top, one on the bottom. And they're very bright even in the daytime. I can see these out for about 1,000 feet away in the brightest sun. They're very nice. So this little service cradle is 2 purposes. One, it's going to protect the light so that you're not going to go ahead and smash it in. And also, it provides a nice level so that when you had to turn it upside down and, like, say, change props or anything, do any kind of maintenance on it, that's going to be there for that. So that's what this is for. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the aircraft unfolds. So what we do is we get out these first and then these out. And the boom arms just swing out, and then these locking collars right here lock everything in place. So also on the aircraft, we have a place for the batteries. We'll put them in a minute. We have obstacle avoidance cameras all the way around this aircraft in every direction. 4 cameras, 2 optical, 2 infrared. So there's the infrared, there's the optical. So on the front, on each side, the back, the top, and the bottom all have 4 cameras each. So there's a lot of cameras on here for obstacle avoidance. Now, the obstacle avoidance is not foolproof. What I mean by that is, as good as this is, this cannot detect thin power lines, branches, utility cables, etc. So what they have, and if that's really something that's very important to you, they have this item right here. This is called the CSM radar. And the CSM radar goes on the top right here. It screws in right like this. And this is an actual radar. So this is actually going to radar and bounce back from targets. And this is very good, very precise. It does pick up thin utility lines and everything. This is I think if memory serves me right, $989. And this also works well at nighttime, where these cameras don't work at all at nighttime and not very good during low light. So there are some limitations to this. The obstacle avoidance here is very customizable. What we can do is we can set this up to actually alert you when it's coming up to an object anywhere from 3 feet away to over 75 feet away. So it's very customizable where you want to set that, and also the braking distance where it actually stops before that target, that obstacle, is completely set up in the app, where you can set that anywhere from 4 feet to 75 feet. Normally, just by the default, is very good, and I've never really had to play with it, but there is a lot of cameras on here for obstacle avoidance, and the CSM radar really helps with that as well. Here is an FPV camera that will then alert you and be able to show you in the app what the actual attitude of the aircraft is. Notice it's built into it, and it's not stabilized on purpose, so that, say for example, your aircraft's in this attitude fighting the wind, then you can actually tell what the attitude of the aircraft is in flight. Now you'll see here, I have two. This is the dual gimbal mount. It's an accessory that you can buy. Normally, there's one mount that's down here. If you don't have to use a second accessory like a loudspeaker or a spotlight, you don't need this, but I have obviously on here for public safety training. So the camera would be here and the spotlight would be here. Totally customizable for payloads, as you're well aware of that. We can put in here a LiDAR, we can put in the P1, photogrammetry camera, the H20, H20T camera, and a ton of different things in here. So it's very modular that you can add things on any which way that you want to. Folding props, and this does have up to a 7-pound payload capacity, so that we can put up to 7 pounds of payload capacity with no problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this out in front here. I'm going to put the CSM radar down below, and I'm going to get the camera out. Chris, will you hold that for a second? And I'm going to get my one controller as well on the top here. And then what I didn't show you before, I should have showed this to you, is this compartment opens up completely. And we have room in here for 8 batteries in the bottom and 4 of the batteries for the smart controller. So these batteries are expensive and they're heavy. And this does have the ability to hot swap. So we do not have to turn off the aircraft to change batteries. We can change them one at a time live. This is a battery safety switch that if we don't put it in the closed position, it will not allow you to take off. So that's a nice safety parameter inside here. It has dual compasses, so it's actually considered 2 internal GPS systems, as well as the RTK pucks right here. So this has the RTK receivers on here, which is used with the RTK base antenna. So I'm showing you some footage on the screen of what that looks like. It's called the DRTK2 base station with an engineering tripod. What we have here is a base station, whether it's physically located on site or a virtual base station that communicates with GPS signals in the sky. And we also have our aircraft. Our aircraft is more like what's called a rover. And the rover is then going to get the signals from the base station. The base station then is going to send the aircraft its correctional position data. Now, for the RTK service to work on the aircraft also has to have direct line of sight with the satellites in the sky as well to get the GPS signal. So we have to have both signals going to the drone for RTK service to work. So on a 2-puck RTK system, the 2 pucks are going to send information and communicate back and forth to the base station. And because it's doing that with 2 pucks, it's able to calculate the aircraft's azimuth. So therefore, it doesn't need the internal compass to be able to calculate that. The compass now can be only set up as a backup. Thus, when it's not using the compass for heading, I could have this aircraft 5 feet away from a 200,000 volt power line, or in a very heavy metal sustainable area like a steel plant or manufacturing plant, bridges, railroads, whatever have you, and it's not going to be affected. There has been people that have tested this up to 4 miles away. Not that you're going to fly that far away, but it does have a very good signal strength on it. And again, this is important though, it has to be line of sight with the base station. The other two antennas on here, and that's these two right here, these are for your wireless transmission for the camera back to your controller. And I'll take the camera. So this is our H20T camera with the thermal option. It goes on very quickly, very easily. Just have to line up the dots, white to red initially, turn it till then it's red on red. And again, so let's talk about the camera features and functionality. This has a wide camera, this has a zoom camera, this has the thermal camera and a rangefinder as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and set all this up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you direct feed from what is going to be coming out of the controller, as well as I'll have the camera behind me on this large monitor. So we'll be able to show you a lot of really good things. So the 300 combo consists of the aircraft, the remote controller, the stock DJI case that we do not like, this battery charging station, 1 pair of batteries. So that's the basic combo kit, plus you get the Enterprise Shield, the basic plan for the crash protection, which covers up to 2 crashes in 1 calendar year, with a deductible, I believe, is $780. So this right here is the battery charging station. As you can see, there are 8 slots on here. So we can put 8 of these on here, but it will only charge 2 at a time. And then we can put 4 of the WB37 remote controller batteries on here as well. And again, so then when these 2 are done, it will move over to here, move over to here, move over to here. And then likewise the same way with this. So let's say right now we're in this configuration where we have 4 of these batteries on here and 8 of these batteries on here. It will charge up to 2 batteries and this one at the same time. And then it will move on to the next one when it's done. So that's really, it's basic. There's really not much else to this other than that it is a nice rugged case. The one thing that you don't want to use this case for is travel. These are very heavy batteries and these rattle around in here as well. So that's not good for the batteries or the motherboard on the bottom. So we like keeping either the batteries in the HPRC case, or GPC has a very nice 6-slot battery case for this as well, if you want to have the batteries in a separate container. And if any kind of travel that you have to do, obviously the batteries have to be shipped, because you cannot, you really can only technically take 1 on an airplane, because these kind of exceed how much the capacity is for that. So you can't check them in, and you can only really take 1 on board. So that's not going to work. So if you have to do any traveling, you're going to want to go ahead and ship them in advance. So we have our aircraft all ready to go. As you'll see on your screen, that is the main pilot splash screen. So this is Pilot 2 Flight app, and that's the main part of what we're actually going to be using today. So now let's go ahead and get this up in the air. I'm going to get up about 6 to 8 feet. I'm going to go into camera view. Now, what you're seeing on your screen is the FPV view, that FPV camera. So when I go ahead and change the attitude of the aircraft, you can see it's going to show and staying with that attitude, just the way it's supposed to. So let me go ahead and get the aircraft up in the air a little bit so it's not quite as noisy on the mic. What you see right here, this little screen, I'm going to tap on it on my controller. Now that's able to switch over to the camera feed. So as you'll see right here, it's very intuitive here. IR button is the thermal. The zoom camera is the zoom camera. So we can switch between all three cameras very easily just by hitting this button over here to whatever we want. So now I'm back on the wide camera. So this is the main functionality screen of the Pilot 2 flight app. And this is what we're going to be using for just about everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up in the air. Let's go up a little higher. It's a beautiful day in Pittsburgh. All right, so right now, you can see on your app, we're at 268 feet high, and the aircraft is 212 feet away from us. So I'm going to switch over to the zoom camera. And you'll see that's right automatically at a 5x zoom when I switch over to it. On my controller right here is the jog wheel to go up and down. And this is my pan adjustment right here for the pan camera. So that's how that works. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how we're going to actually use the rangefinder. So here in the upper left hand corner, this icon is going to allow us to turn on the rangefinder. Now we have a little red crosshatch in the middle of the screen. Now that is pointing back exactly where we are, where we're filming. And it gives it an ASL. So, and it also shows the coordinates on the left-hand side. So when I switch over to the zoom camera, you can see us right there. Chris is going to wave right now so you can see him. That's only 10 times zoomed in. So we're going to keep going in. There's 40 times. Now we're going to go to 80 times. And you can see how stable it is, and it's not very pixelated, is it? Now I'm going to go in 160 times. And now you can actually even see my shirt as I'm looking at you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go back to the wide camera to show you exactly how far we are away, to really compare apples to apples, wide camera versus the power of the zoom camera. There we are. That's pretty powerful stuff that we have over here. And the rangefinder is good for about, I would say, we've seen it consistently 1,700 feet away. So right there you can see it, that building, the top of that building right there is 1,668 feet away. So now let's go over to the IR camera. Again, I'm just going to hit the IR button. And up here on the top, we have the ability to change our color palette, as well as turn on isotherms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually have the aircraft come back toward us, face it back toward us. And I'm going to come back to my van. Okay. So that's us right there. So the first thing is, let's go over some of the functionality of the thermal camera. So I can tap anywhere on the screen and it'll tell me exactly the temperature at that location. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on the top of this roof of that car. So it's about 82 degrees. And I'm going to go ahead right down here. I'm going to tap in that zoom to get a little tighter. As you can see, it's all digital zoom, but it's pretty good even at 4 times. So now I'm going to tap on, let's go ahead and do the roof of the car. I'm sorry, the hood of the car. Tap it right there. That's 104 degrees. So I want to go back to the one-time zoom. Now I can change the color palette by hitting the slider, and I can go to white hot, black hot, iron red, and all kind of different ones if I wanted to. Now, what's really cool with this is we can use what's called isotherms, which is the ability to assign a color palette to very specific temperature ranges. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and tap on that little beaker right there. And now, with that little switch, now it's only identifying a range between 80 to 100 degrees. So if I go ahead and tap out of that, so only this portion here that shows the color palette is only in the range of 80 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's totally adjustable. So let's go back to it. Now you can see I went from 35 to 100 degrees, and now look how broad it is. And what I can also do is I can change the slider by hitting the plus button to now I can fine tune it a little more. So you can see just from 66 to 100, now there's more of that color palette showing. So that's showing that area right there is in that color temperature range. So that's very, very cool here. We can also hit this button up here, SBS, to give us a split screen. We want a split screen, we have it. So I'm going to go back up. I'm going to go to the zoom camera. I'm going to go back up in the air, show you a few more features. We have on here what's called Smart Track. We're going to tap on this, and that's engaging Smart Track. And what we're going to be able to do is to be able to track cars. And these will become yellow circles. Or they're actually green circles. So as you can see, there's one coming right here. I'm going to tap on this as it gets closer. It's going to become a green circle. And you can see when it goes behind an object, it knows the speed and direction of the object, and it'll keep following it even when something is obstructing it. And I'm going to turn this off now. We've been able to track vehicles as far as almost about 1.5 miles. So that's what's called Smart Track on here as well. We can also drop pins down on here. We can drop basically an unlimited amount of pins on here. The rangefinder also not only will give us that distance, but it will also give us the lat and long of the rangefinder. And then if we drop a pin, let's say we want to drop a pin right down there. I'm going to go ahead and select that. Now I just went and put down that pin there, and it will also show in the map as to the lat and long, and also as far as the ASL value of that pin as well. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this aircraft down, and I want to show you a couple other things. So now what I'm going to show you is we're going to go over where it says flight route. I'm going to show you how we do autonomous and mapping missions in Pilot 2. So we're going to go ahead and hit flight route, create a route, mapping, and now there we are. So that's the building we're at right now, where my office is. And I'm going to come out here and just do a really basic map. So I'm going to tap on this button right here. That's going to start my mapping process. So I'm going to come down, I'm going to select my camera. I'm then going to go ahead. We have the ability to put terrain following on. You really want to use the RDTK for that when we're using that. But I'm going to go down and I'm going to select my flight route. Right now it's set to 328 feet, and I'm going to set it to 178 feet high. Again, this is setting it to where it takes off from. That's takeoff point, that it's going to be above ground. Obviously, when we have the ability to do terrain following, that completely changes. Takeoff speed is good. I'm going to go ahead, just for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to leave this around 9 miles an hour. My advanced settings, I can set my overlap for my side and my front. I also have the ability to change and fine-tune it with margins. Now I'm going to exit back out of that, and I'm going to show you. So right there, that's my basic map right there. And we can expand on this out just by tapping and dragging. And as you can see, as I make my changes, down here, it's telling me the estimated time it's going to take to do it, and the number of pictures it's going to be is 42, 8 waypoints, and what's my mapping area. And I can set this right here to acres as well. So I'm going to go back out of here right now, go into my master settings. Essentially 2.1 acres. I'll make this a little larger. And now what I can do is, if I don't want the rows this way, let's say I want the rows horizontal, not vertical. I can go back to my settings. And it's completely customizable however we want it. So this is a 3-minute flight, 12 waypoints, 65 pictures, 3.4 acres. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. And again, when you're creating this route, you do not have to have your aircraft on. All you need is your smart controller hooked up to the network so that you can go ahead and get a good GPS location for your maps. So now when I go out of this, the next time I come in here, you can see it's right here. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to go ahead and hit the playback button. Upload the flight mission and hit start. So it's going to the first waypoint as we identify. You can see where the aircraft is right there. That's the starting point. Now the aircraft's going to start looking down. I'm going to switch over to the camera feed. So the camera's looking directly down and going to take the pictures as needed. I'm going to switch back to the map. Now let's go into the second row. And you see down here at the bottom of the screen, you can see right here that we have the altitude's 177 feet, the horizontal speed is 8.8 miles an hour, and it's already taken 20 out of 65 pictures, and it keeps going up, and it shows the lat and long, and it's right now 42% done with a 2-minute and 9-second remaining time. If we need to, we can pause it in flight. So right now I've actually stopped it. And now, like, you know, for search and rescue, we could actually go off the grid if we need to go back and check something out. And then if we would hit continue, it would actually just go directly to where it left off from. So I'm gonna hit the playback button right to continue. If I wanted to stop it, I could just hit the X to cancel the mission. So it's taken 31 pictures. I got 31% remaining left on the batteries, which is fine. I'll have more than enough to be able to finish this. So I like setting the alarms for the batteries remaining pretty high, over 30%. That way I'm on the ground by 20%. So it has 55 seconds left. %, done. I'll switch over to the camera feed. And you can see how it's blacking out that white dot, that button right there. That means it's taking a picture when it blacks out. Again, if we were going to go ahead and do a mapping mission, we would set probably about 4 to 5 miles an hour. But we were able to set the ground sampling distance based upon all of our parameters that we're setting with the overlap and the flight height. So it's done. Now it's coming back, and it's going to come back and home and land. So as you can see, it came pretty close to where it took off from. It's only maybe about a foot and a half off. And now let's go ahead and talk about a few other things. On your screen that you're seeing right now is a LiDAR mission that we flew, and we had to bring all of that data into DJI Terra because they are DJI proprietary files. And then we can go ahead and make a 2D or 3D image from there, and then we can take them and export them out to just about anything that you want to use. But with that DJI Terra is something that we need to use if we want to use the L1 camera. Now that L1 camera, when you buy it, it does come with 6 months of a trial DJI electricity model subscription. If you want a perpetual license, you have to go ahead and buy the Pro plan. But you know, you can do a perpetual license, you can do a 1-year license. There's different options that you can go ahead and use that. So as you see on your screen, it does have a very nice 3D model. It's going to be very good to use. I would say you can expect anywhere from, I would say, 6 to 10 centimeters off of accuracy. It's probably going to be a little lower when you're using terrain following, but you know, with the L1, you're not going to get the accuracy that you're going to get with the P1 and a photogrammetry camera. So I hope you enjoyed this demo. If you have any questions for us, please let us know. And one very important thing I want you to know is that we offer something that nobody else in the country does. No matter where you live in the United States, if you buy one of these aircraft from us, we come out and we fly out to you and do on-site training and setup for for no added cost. So we would ship the aircraft out to you in advance, schedule a time to fly out, and then we spend a full day with you setting it up and giving you the basic training. We get the aircraft up in the air, show you how to use the app, how to use the camera settings, if you're getting the RDTK, how to set that up, etc. So we're going to tailor make that around the equipment that you're actually buying. And that's all for no added cost. So if that's something that you're interested, please give us a call. We'll be glad to talk to you. Thanks again.
Steel City Drone Flight Academy offers the most comprehensive on-site commercial remote pilot training program in the United States. Our team of professional drone instructors has more than 30 years of combined experience and have trained more than 1,000 students to fly drones commercially. We offer on-site training anywhere in the United States.
Dave King from Steel City Drones is a pioneer in the drone industry and is one of the most experienced remote pilots with more than 18,000 logged flights and over 10 years of flying experience. After working with more than 800 clients, Dave has taken everything that he has learned and incorporated it into Steel City Drones training program to prepare you to be the best commercial pilot possible.
Our most popular training package is a 4-day commercial program. Day 1, it's an introduction to drones day, an introduction to flying day, equipment familiarization. Day 2 is all-day flying. It's our advanced flying. You learn up to 15 different practice exercises. You learn how to fly manually without any automation, and you're going to be amazed by the things that you can do by the end of the day. The 3rd day is what we call Advanced Ground School. We teach you everything that the Part 107 test does not. And that's going to be everything, nuts and bolts from a theory standpoint on how to be able to do flight missions. Everything from flight planning, risk assessments, to wireless communications, how to use visual observers, all the resource management from a theory standpoint. If you want to really sharpen up how to fly drones commercially and professionally, this is a day that you cannot miss. The 4th day is a commercial applications day, where we're taking the first 3 days, putting it all together, and we're doing simulated training missions that you would normally do for commercial flying. Inspection work, mapping, or they could be search and rescue, monitoring, a lot of different ways that we can go with that tactical day. Depends on who is in the group and what they want to be able to do. They are completely customizable.
We also offer everything from 1-day introduction classes to 7-day train-the-trainer programs tailor-made to your specific needs.
What sets us apart from other training schools is that we teach you how to fly manually without any automation so that you're prepared to respond to the worst type of situation a pilot can experience.
Steel City Drones offers small groups of up to 6 participants per instructor so that each student gets sufficient one-on-one instruction.
I'm Detective Brent Dukes with Jackson Police Department. The thing I like most about Steel City Drones on-site training was that all the way from the setup, the most basic parts of the setup of the drone and the equipment, having an expert right there with us to answer any questions we had was so helpful. They offered a comprehensive package including equipment recommendations, training, certification, study guides, everything that we needed to implement this drone and into our department, they provided. Some of the training that we got on site was flight planning, emergency drone recovery, should the worst case happen, dual flights with 2 controllers, one operator controlling the drone itself, the other controlling the camera. I would say that as sophisticated of a piece of equipment as this is, it's only as good as the operator who is running it, and the operator is only as good as the training they've received. Because there's no way that I would have figured out some of the capabilities of this equipment had I not had David on site as an expert. I'm pretty capable with this type of equipment. I'm pretty savvy with technology, but there are things that I learned about this because David was there to answer questions in real time that I never would have learned on my own or even with the other members of my department who were flying with me. If I didn't have his expertise in real time, there's just capabilities that I would be completely missing out on.
My name is Robert Warrington. I'm the budget analyst at the State Training School in Eldora, Iowa. Working with Dave was fantastic. He gave us great guidance on what to look for and kind of his insights and what would really help for our kind of mission that we have here. And by building this, I think it's going to help the school accomplish what we're looking for.
For more information about Steel City Drones training services, please visit our website at steelcityflightacademy.com.